Now, the Elections Department has announced some changes to processes for the coming GE. For starters, ballot papers will include photos of the candidates. Now, this is meant to help voters, especially the elderly, to more easily identify the candidates they want to vote for.
The next time Singapore goes to the polls, voters will have new ballot papers to help them better recognise the candidates contesting the constituencies. If you are in a single-member constituency, this is how your new ballot paper will look. In addition to the party logos, the ballot paper will also include photos of the contesting candidates. And for group representation constituencies, the pictures of candidates in a group will be placed left to right in the order in which the candidates' names appear on the ballot paper. The new ballot papers will also be larger than the ones in previous general elections to accommodate the photos. The Elections Department said that candidates' photos on ballot papers were first introduced at the 2011 presidential election, and the move had garnered generally positive feedback from the public. Other changes announced by the ELD include an increase in the maximum limit for election expenses. Candidates will be allowed to spend up to $4 for every voter in the constituency they are contesting. This is an increase from the previous cap of $3.50 per voter. The ELD says this is to account for inflation. There are also changes to rules governing the display of posters and banners used for election campaigning. Previously, candidates were not allowed to display such materials within 200 meters from a polling station to minimize undue influence on voters. This has now been reduced to 50 meters as the number of polling stations will be increased.
And we spoke to political observer Eugene Tan, and here is his take on how the changes would affect voters and contesting parties.
Well, first, I think it would require, candidates to be visible to the voters, and that means, having to walk the ground, and not just during the hustings, but also in between elections. So I think this will help to get the candidates to be more recognizable, and I think that's very important because you're choosing a representative to represent you in Parliament, and I think it's important that the candidates are people who are familiar with the issues and familiar, with the voters. I think having the photos on the ballot papers would also remind voters as to who precisely they are voting for. So in the past, there's been a lot of reliance on the party name, the party logo,